Hi everyone, my name's Richard McMahon from the career guidance company howtobecome.com, and in this presentation I'm going to give you the top 7 interview questions and answers. Okay, so take notes. I'm going to go through the top 7 questions. I'm even going to give you some tips on how to answer them positively, and then I'm going to give you sample responses to these questions that you can use during your interview. So first and foremost, a quick brief introduction to myself. Very warm welcome to this presentation. As I said, my name's Richard McMahon. Prior experience, I've spent 4 years in the Royal Navy, 17 years as a firefighter. During that time, I spent much of my work in the recruitment department, interviewing people like you for jobs and creating interview questions. I then founded the award-winning career guidance website, howtobecome.com. I'm an interview coach and a career guidance expert, and I'm very passionate about helping people like you to achieve their potential and also helping you get the job of your dreams. So in this video, I'm going to go through these 7 questions, the questions you're likely to get asked at any kind of interview. I'll give you some tips and answers. So let's get straight into it. Question number 1, tell me about yourself. It's generally an introductory interview question, one that gives you the opportunity to warm up. You can be prepared for it, but here's a few tips before you answer this question. Concentrate on telling the interview panel about your work-related skills as opposed to your home life. They might appear to be interested, but trust me, they're not. They're not interested in your home life. They want to know, to see whether you're going to be a good fit to their team, whether you've got the skills and attributes relevant to the role. This is really important, guys. Make sure you download a copy of the person specification for the job you're applying for, if there is one, and focus on telling the interview panel how your skills and attributes match the document. I'll give you a sample response in a second. This is another good thing throughout the whole interview. Use power words in your responses, such as motivated. I'm a motivated person. I'm really enthusiastic. I'm loyal. I'm flexible. I'm a committed person. I'm honest, hardworking, adaptable, etc. Now, these will resonate positively with the interview panel. Okay, so they're powerful words. They're positive words that that put you across in a good light, and they will make the interview panel feel good about you, because they want to employ people who are positive, motivated, flexible, and committed. Trust me, I'm an employer who interviews all the time, and this is what I want to hear from people. So I mentioned in the previous slide about the person specification. In the second one, download a copy of the person specification. So before I give you an answer to this question, tell me about yourself, let's have a look at a person specification quickly for the job. You can see across the top there, customer care assistant. Let's say you're applying for a job in that role. You can see here the requirements. So I've downloaded this, and it says you've got to have a positive customer-focused approach. You've got to work accurately. You've got to be able to problem solve. You've got to be able to consult and negotiate. So I would study this, and then in my response to the question, tell me about yourself, I would say, you know, I'm a positive person. I'm always focused on the customer. I'm renowned for working accurate, so I have a good attention to detail, because they're looking out for these things as well in the interview panel. So if you start to mention them earlier on, then you're going to gain high marks. And that's what you want to do, is you want to tick boxes, but you also want to come across as if you are a positive person who can fit into their team. Let's have a look at a sample response for tell me about yourself. Okay, first and foremost, I am a hardworking, loyal and enthusiastic person who understands how important work is to my overall happiness. I take my work very seriously, and I am always looking to improve my skills and qualifications so I can work to the highest standards possible in my role. I genuinely believe there are 2 types of employee. The first is someone who turns up to work and does their job so they can just pay their bills. And the second employee type is someone who puts their all into their job, is totally committed, and does all they can to help their employer achieve their goals. I am the second employee type, and I believe my previous track record and strong appraisals demonstrate just that. I have excellent communication skills and fully understand how important it is to deliver outstanding customer care. After all, without the customer, there would be no business and I would not have a job. I also have very good organisational skills and always plan my week's work in advance to make sure I perform to a high standard. Now, having studied the person specification for this job in detail, I strongly believe I can perform the role to a high standard and would very much appreciate the opportunity to work for your company. If I am successful today, I can assure you that I will bring a great deal of experience, loyalty, and positive qualities to your team. So you can see that that response I've just given you is very much tailored around that person specification. So have a look at the job, even if there isn't a person specification, because some companies don't give one out. Read the job advert and try and think about the qualities that that job advert that job would require, and then tailor your response to that. So don't forget what I said in the tips. When responding to the question, tell me about yourself, focus on your work-related skills and not, oh, this is what I do at home, this is what I do at weekends. They're not interested. Okay, question number 2. Why do you want to work here, or why do you want to work for this employer? Here's some tips before you answer this question. Tell the interview panel about the preparation work you've done in the build-up to the interview. Focus again on the person's specification, the job description, and information you have gleaned from the company's website and also the literature you have studied during your research. So before you go along to the interview, you should have looked on their website. You should have a look at the About Us part, because they could say to you, well, tell us about our company. You should be able to answer that question. So let's have a look at a sample response. Why do you want to work here? Having studied the person's specification and the job description for this role, I feel I have the skills, qualities and attributes to carry out the job to a very high standard. I also feel the role will give me a new, fresh challenge, something which I've been looking for some time now. Having also studied your company in detail, there seems to be a very positive approach to the work you carry out, and I also very much like the way you strive to deliver a high standard of customer care. High levels of customer care are not common nowadays, and I certainly want to work in a company that looks after its customers, as I enjoy seeing positive customer interaction, feedback and testimonials within my job. Also, during my research, I managed to speak to 2 current employees who work for you, and they had nothing but positive things to say about your company. Both of them have worked for you for quite a few years now, and they appeared very happy in their work. Now, if I am successful, I plan to stay with you for a long time, so it was good to see that you employ happy, positive people within your team. Finally, after reading the job description, I understand there will be opportunities to both train, develop, and take on further qualifications within the company. This is something that is very much appealing to me, as I always like to grow and improve as an employee. Okay, question number 3. What are your strengths? This is a real common interview question. Let me give you some tips. Again, focus on the person spec for the role you're applying for. So if one of the requirements of the job is that you're an effective team worker, then you should say, I'm great at working with people, I can get along with the majority of people. Say something different in your response that makes you stand out from other job applicants. So you could give an example here of why you're better than the other applicants and try to make yourself relatable and real. Okay, let's have a look at a sample response to the interview question. What are your strengths? I have many positive qualities and attributes to bring to this role, but I believe my main key strengths are: I have a hard-working nature. I have an enthusiastic demeanour. I am always looking for the positives in every situation. I am a great team player. I like to support and help develop other people. I am dependable. Now, one thing that I feel makes me stand out from the majority of employees is that I am always looking for ways to improve the way I perform at work. For example, following an appraisal last year, my line manager identified that she wanted me to develop my negotiating skills. As soon as the appraisal was complete, I searched online for a distance learning negotiating course and studied hard in this area to improve my skills. Once I had completed the course and I had the opportunity to put it into practice what I'd learnt, my line manager commented that she had noticed a significant improvement in this area and congratulated me for taking the positive approach to the feedback she gave me at the appraisal. Question number 4, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Again, this is a common interview question. Here's a few tips. Don't tell them you plan to have moved on from their company, either internally or externally. So what I mean by that is you don't want to say, well, I plan to be with you a couple of years, but really my end goal is to work for another company or do a different role. And also, you don't want to be saying, well, as soon as I'm trained up, I want to be going for a promotion. Yes, it's important to sound enthusiastic, but there is a better way of answering this question, which I'll give you in a second. Now, loyalty is really important to the vast majority of employers. Remember, they've got to spend time, money and resources training you up in the role, so they want to see a return from their investment. Don't tell them you want to be sat where they are. I've had this in interviews where I say to someone, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? And they go, well, I want to be sat where you are. It's quite an arrogant response. Okay, yes, they might have aspirations to get to a higher level, but that's not the time to say it at the interview. Okay, question number 4 response. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? If I am successful today, the first thing I plan to do is get competent in the role as soon as possible. I have no idea how long this will take. However, based on my high levels of enthusiasm, I aim to get trained up really quickly. Now, once I am trained up in the role to a good standard, I would like to consolidate my skills and become experienced within the team. It is very important to me to be accepted and respected by my work colleagues and peers, and I also want to do well in my appraisals. So, I guess the short answer to this question is that I want to become good at my job, be accepted by my team and line managers, and also enjoy my work as much as possible. Now, if the opportunity presents itself for me to progress within the organisation, that would be amazing. All in all, I plan to stay with the company long term if I am successful at interview. Question number 5, what are your weaknesses? This is obviously an opposite to what are your strengths. Here are some tips for this response. Anyone who tells the interview panel they have no weaknesses is telling porkies. Now, we all have weaknesses, and it's important to say, I would not want to hear a response to this question, well, I've got no weaknesses, I'm perfect really, because not everybody is. We all have weaknesses. But don't give a weakness that is one of the key requirements of the role. For example, if punctuality and good timekeeping are important, which they are for the majority of jobs, don't tell the panel you struggle getting out of bed in the morning. And you can turn your weakness into a positive. Let's have a look at a sample response to the question, what are your weaknesses? Okay, I do have one weakness, and that is I sometimes get slightly irritated when people don't carry out their work to a high standard. Because I set myself high standards, I expect others to have them too. And this is not always the case. Although it can irritate me at times, I have learned to just focus on my own job and do it to a consistent high standard. But having said that, I have recently been trying to turn this weakness into something positive by helping other people within the working environment to improve. So, if I notice a member of the team struggling or not performing to the required standard, I will always offer to help them improve, which I feel can only serve to have a positive impact on the organisation and its goals overall. Question number 6, what makes a good team member? A really common interview question. Here's some tips. List the qualities I'm going to give you in the sample answer that follows. Then back up your answer with a specific example of when you have worked as well as part of a team, and make sure you use a STAR technique in your response. Now, the STAR technique is when you describe your response or the situation using a structured format. You explain what the situation was, you then explain the task that you had to carry out, you then explain the action that you undertook, and then what was the result following your actions. And if you follow that process, you will 100% give a specific example. Employers are always looking for specific or behavioural responses to some of the interview questions. Okay, sample response. What makes a good team member? Effective teamwork is vital in any organisation, and I feel what makes a good team member is having a dedicated leader, first of all, an ability to focus on the end goal, great communication amongst the team members and its leader, a comprehensive initial brief so that every member of the team knows what they are going to achieve and how they achieve the task, being supportive of the other team members, learning from any mistakes that were made during a task so that things can improve for next time. A team is only as strong as its weakest link, and it is important that everyone within the team works together and helps each other out. Number 7, can you give an example of when you have worked well under pressure? Another common interview question. Here are some tips before we get into the sample response. Try to give an example of when you've carried out a difficult pressurized task under strict time constraints. Give a specific example and don't forget to use the STAR technique in your response. So again, situation, task, action, result. And the next response, the sample response I'll give you, follows the STAR technique. So here's my sample response to can you give an example of when you've worked well under pressure? Yes, I can. I am often required to carry out time-sensitive tasks under pressure, but one particular incident springs to mind. I work in a large retail shop just outside of town. One Friday a few weeks ago, my manager called a team meeting and he explained to all of us that a large delivery was due to arrive within a couple of hours' time. Now, unfortunately, the delivery was a week early and he'd not had time to prepare. We were understaffed at the time and it was already 4 p.m. on Friday. So we only had 1 hour after the store had closed at 5 p.m. to get the stock take accepted, loaded in store, and checked for accuracy. He asked all of us whether we would volunteer to help him out with the delivery. I immediately put my hand up and volunteered to help. I could see that he was slightly flustered and he clearly needed help from the team. Unfortunately, only myself and one other member of staff offered to help. However, we were both determined to do a good job for our manager, and we immediately started planning how we were going to get the stock unloaded, checked, and placed in store within the 1 hour time slot allocated. We decided to play to each other's strengths. I would utilise my organisational and accuracy skills to check the stock as it came off the lorry, whilst my colleague would carry it all to the stock room as he was physically strong and extremely fit. As we progressed with the task, we communicated with each other to make sure we were working to the required standards and time frame. The end result was that we completed the task thoroughly with just 6 minutes to spare. This gave us time to report back to our manager, who thanked us for volunteering and working hard to achieve the goal. Okay, so that's the sample response. What I'd like you to do now, guys, is to click the link below this video and go direct to my website, howtobecome.com, where you can get more of these answers to. So I've given you 7 of the more common types of interview questions, but if you click the link below the video, you will get about 50 sample questions and answers to any kind of interview that you attend. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I'm making these videos every week. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get an email from me as soon as one is uploaded here to YouTube. So don't forget to click the link, because you can get more interview questions and answers. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And I wish you all the very best in your pursuit to passing your interview.